Senator Nandi County, and the MCAs champion.
Karibu. Over to the chair, SRC. At least take her time, and her colleagues, whoever wants to talk.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. We shall respond to the issues really based on the letter that you wrote to us, and to note, Chair, that it actually addresses the issues that have been raised. I will ask our Director, Remuneration Services, to take us through the response.
Thank you, Chairperson SRC, and thank you, Chair of the committee. We confirm that we received your letter dated 15th of June 2023, and another one dated 29th of June 2023, in which you invited SRC.
Chair,
you have to speak up, please.
Yes, in which you invited SRC to make submissions on 5 items. And we also confirm that we've made a written submission to the committee via letter dated 21st of June 2023. And we've been able to circulate enough copies for everyone. And therefore, if I refer you to the letter that we've circulated to everyone, on the first page, we draw to your attention the establishment of SRC as outlined in Article 230 of the Constitution. And we also draw to your attention that SRC is further guided by Article 235 and Section 12 of the SRC Act that outlines the constitutional principles, among them ensuring that public compensation is affordable and fiscally sustainable, ensuring attraction and retention of requisite skills, recognizing productivity and performance in the public service, promoting transparency and fairness, and from the Act, equal pay for work of equal value. And therefore, SRC has been able to document its response, and I draw to your attention on page 2 of the document that we've been able to share with you, that addresses the first question that the committee posed to SRC on reduction of MCA salary. We draw to your attention, Chair and members of the committee, that SRC in 2013 reviewed and set the remuneration for MCAs as shown on item 1 with a minimum of 79,000 and a maximum of 105,000. Further, in November 2013, SRC further reviewed and set the remuneration for MCAs with a minimum of 123,000 and a maximum of 165,000, and therefore that was payable. And therefore, you enter at the minimum of 123,000, and progressively over the 5 years, you progress to the maximum salary point. We also draw to your attention that SRC set the remuneration for MCAs at 144,000, and the issues pertaining to the court were able to be raised. But we draw to your attention and emphasize that by setting the remuneration for MCAs at a fixed salary point, then the remuneration for MCAs, they are not disadvantaged over the period of 5 years. As a matter of fact, the remuneration for MCA, when you apply 123,000 and progressively over 5 years to 165,000, translate into 8.6 million when you apply the salary notches. Similarly, when you apply a fixed salary point, as was set in 2017 at 144,000, the total pay to members of county assemblies over 5 years is 8.6 million. And we also draw to your attention that we kept into perspective the court ruling, and therefore members of county assemblies were able to revert to the salary structure that were payable in 2013, 2017, arising from the court judgment. And we draw to your attention as part of Roman 6 that in all the gross remuneration set by SRC, the Commission has always indicated that 60% of the consolidated salary is for purposes of pensionable emolument, and that applies. And therefore, when it comes to 27th of July 2022, SRC reviewed and set the remuneration for members of the county assemblies at a fixed point of 144,375, and this was taking into account that it's a new contract, And by a matter of fact, Chair and members of the committee, every election period, elected members of the county assemblies, both national government, county government, they all go back to the electorate and they get elected. By the fact that you get elected, re-elected, you go back to seek votes, and it is a new contract. And therefore, for the period 2022-2027...
Mr. Chairman, a point of order. Mr. Speaker, I thought when you are quoting a document, you should read it as it is, because then we don't follow you, because you are quoting the document and you as if you are summarizing. If you want to be followed, you read the document as it was written, word by word, and then you now give comments on it. Mr. Speaker, the way he is summarizing, it is not easy to follow because he's not reading the document.
Okay, I think
Chair, further point of order. Just to add on what Senator Oburu has said, is that our brother is skirting around from one point to another and making sniding outside what you have, because I've been trying to read also. So even if you refer to another document outside this, you must table, the rules of parliament is you must table a document. So don't refer something that you do not have or the Senate is not seized of. Just stick to that issue. If the chair will give you further directions to table, then you can do it there, so that we follow with you.
This is a house of records, and we want to have the records.
Okay, I think we are given the procedures of handling the issues here. I want us you go through this paper one by one, paragraph by paragraph, and if you have an extra document, then you table on to the House, to the committee. So
we are guided, Chair. He will repeat it, and he'll go through the document.
Please.
Yes.
So thank you. This is a letter from SRC dated 21st of June 2023, addressed to the Clerk of the Senate, and it's titled Invitation to a Meeting of the Senate on Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. And it reference is made to your letter dated 15th of June 2023 on the above subject. The SRC is established under Article 230 of the Constitution of Kenya with the mandate of A, to set and regularly review the remuneration and benefits of all state officers, and B, advise the national and county governments on the remuneration and benefits of all other public officers. In performing its functions, SRC is guided by the constitutional principles as set out in Article 235 of the Constitution and Section 12 of the SRC Act as follows. 1, then the need to ensure that the total public compensation bill is fiscally sustainable. 2, the need to ensure that the public services are able to attract and retain the skills the skills required to execute their functions. 3, the need to recognize productivity and performance. 4, transparency and fairness. And 5, equal remuneration to persons for work of equal value. The Senate Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations requested the chairperson of SRC to appear before the committee for deliberations on various concerns raised in the relation to the remuneration and benefits for the office of the member of county assembly. This particularly on the alleged reduction of salaries, taxation of car reimbursement, and removal of sitting allowances, car grants, and mileage allowance. In addition, the committee requested SRC to submit any documents concerning the matter. On page 2, SRC hereby responds to the issues raised by the Standing Committee on Devolution as shown in the table, and the table has a title, SRC's response on the issues. On the number 1 is reduction of MCAs salaries, and SRC's response as follows. Roman 1, SRC set and published in the Gazette Notice number 2888 of 1st of March 2013 the monthly gross remuneration package for MCAs at a minimum of 79,200 and a maximum of of 5,600 Kenya shilling over of 123,750 in year 1 and progress to a maximum of 165,000. There's a typo there, but it's 165,000. By year 5 of the term of office as follows. So there is a salary notches from 123,750. It progresses to 134,063, 144,375 in year 3, 154,688 in year 4, and finally 165,000 in year 5. Roman 3. SRC set the monthly gross remuneration package for MCAs at Kenya shilling 144,375 fixed for the term of office and published it in the Gazette Notice number 65/18 of 7th of July 2017. Thus, an MCA was paid a monthly gross remuneration of Kenya shilling 144,375, which is the midpoint of the salary range of a minimum of 123,750 and a maximum of 165,000 for the 5-year term. Therefore, there was no reduction in the total remuneration earned by the MCA over the 5-year term of office, and that MCAs were not disadvantaged over the period. Roman 4. SRC had opted for the fixed gross remuneration to be earned for the entire period of service to address implementation challenges of the remuneration structure with annual increments, especially in relation to the entry points for re-elected or renominated MCAs, or MCAs who are elected or nominated 1 or more years after a general election. For example, through a by-election, the set remuneration and benefits was published in the Gazette Notice number 65/18 of 7th of July 2017, was, however, quashed by the High Court. Roman 5. The county assemblies then continued to implement the remuneration structures obtaining before 7th of July 2017, and that refers to Roman 2 at the top. In all the gross remuneration set by SRC for state officers, the Commission has always indicated that 60% of the consolidated gross remuneration is the pension of emolument. Next, SRC reviewed and set gross remuneration for MCAs as published in the Gazette Notice number 87/95 of 27th of July 2022 at Kenya shilling 144,375 for the new term, in bracket, contract, and deconsolidated the remuneration package in compliance with the judgment of the ELRC petition number 29 of 2019 in the Nairobi as follows. Basic remuneration, 86,625. House allowance, 45,000. Commuter allowance, official vehicle, and remuneration market adjustment of Kenya shilling 12,750. The basic remuneration set in 2022 of 86,625 represents 60% of the set gross remuneration for MCS at 144,375. This is consistent with SRC policy on state officers' consolidated remuneration that 60% represents pensionable emolument. Moving forward, SRC has set remuneration and benefit for the third county assemblies for the period 2017-2027 as follows. For the financial year 2022-2023, there was no review of remuneration and benefits for all state officers as the country was still recovering from the adverse effects of COVID-19 to the economy. SRC therefore set a rate similar to those obtaining in the previous term. For the period 2023-2024, 2024-2027, SRC has proposed gross remuneration package for MCS based on the principles of review and setting of remuneration and benefits in the public service, taking into account the aforementioned provisions in the Constitution and SRC Act as follows. So there are a table with 4 columns. There is state officer gross remuneration for an MCA. The current is 144,375. From 1st of July 2023-2024, SRC proposes 154,481. For the financial year 2024-2025, SRC proposes 164,588. Committee sitting allowance is paid, assuming an MCA is in one committee, at 62,400 across board, and therefore the total remuneration package for MCAs currently is 206,755. In the proposed salary for 2023-2024, it will be 216,881, and for 2024-2025, it will be 226,988. On the second issue, Chair and members, that SRC wish to respond to is on abolishing of MCA sitting allowance, and SRC responds as follows. 1, the responsibilities performed by MCAs in plenary sittings were considered by SRC in evaluating the job of an MCA. Hence, the gross monthly remuneration of Kenya shilling 144,375 includes compensation for plenary sittings. A payment of plenary sitting would amount to double compensation. Roman 2, sitting allowance for plenary session was therefore abolished and ceased to be payable. Roman 3, SRC retained the existing rates of committee sitting allowance for state officers who serve in county assembly house committees, as published in the Gazette notice of July 2022 as follows. Chairpersons, 6,500 per sitting, up to a maximum of 104,000 per month. Vice chairperson, 5,200 Kenya shilling per sitting, up to a maximum of 83,200 per month. Member, 3,900 per sitting, up to a maximum of 62,400 per month. On the next page, SRC also responds on the third issue on abolishing of MCA's car grant. And it says that in 2022, SRC replaced transport facilitation benefit in the form of a car grant with official transport by way of motor vehicle reimbursement as published in the Gazette notice number 8795, dated 27th of July 2022, to align this benefit, the one set to members of Parliament. Number 2, the official transport comprises of motor vehicle reimbursement of Kenya shilling 2,212,000, monthly car maintenance allowance of 30,167, and claimable mileage allowance at the rate of 77.35 cents per kilometer based on the current AA rates. In addition, MCAs are entitled to the car loan benefit. On the fourth issue of abolishing of MCAs mileage allowance, SRC would like to respond that SRC has not abolished payment of mileage, Roman 2. In 2022, SRC set claimable mileage allowance of 1 return journey per week from respective county assembly office to respective ward office at the rate of 77.35 per kilometer based on AA rates using car engine capacity of 1800 cc, and the Gazette notice is attached. Roman 3, in 2023, SRC is proposing to retain the current rate of claimable mileage allowance for MCAs, and Roman 4, in addition, MCAs are entitled to car maintenance allowance, which is paid to deputy speakers and members of the county assembly at the rate of 30,167 per month. The claimable mileage allowance is zoned and claimable up to a maximum for respective zones as per the table. And the table has 5 zones. And on the final issue on taxation of the motor vehicle reimbursement, SRC responds that taxation matters falls outside the mandate of SRC. Further, there is a pending case in court, that is Kericho High Court Petition number 4 of 2023, filed by CAF against KRA and others. Chair and members, I stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Any other additional information?
No, Chair, there is no additional information.
Very well. Madam Chair, I want to ask you one question, which you never answered, other than what you have written. I said, what factors or parameters do you use to base the salaries of employees? Now let's refer to the MCAs. What factors do you use?
Do you want me to respond on that one, or we take more questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I would just want, without using so many words, just to make one clarification. In 2013, a speaker was earning 262, which has gone up to, is it 525? For an MCA, it was 125, gone down to 86. In the opinion of CRC, yes, SRC, sorry, is it that, in your own opinion, that these MCAs, either they don't work, or they are not variable, or maybe qualified, because this is what is bringing problems in the assemblies, because the difference between the speaker and the MCAs and the governors, in my view, it's not acceptable. And the assemblies cannot operate, and the county government cannot operate at peace with this in this scenario. Just a clear answer, and probably this will solve all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for taking this issue seriously. I really appreciate upon the direction of the Chair. I know the committee sits with many issues, but thank you for listening to the MCAs. MCAs play a very unique role. As you are aware, Chair, when a problem happens in the village, if it is an arambe, if there is family disputes, if there is funerals, if there is baby showers and many other things, Mr. Chair, the first person or point of call is the MCAs, and MCAs play a very critical role in our community because they are the leaders. Chair, with all due respect, I've listened to the submission by SRC, but unfortunately, their response can only be equated for academic discussions. I don't see they have answered anything that we have raised on this house. And that is why I've always insisted that SRC should be a part-time commission to save this country unnecessary trouble. Because looking at SRC under Article 230, their role is provided for Constitution, but I don't think they are doing the right thing in this country. They are playing politics. Look at the Gazette notice that they issued on 27 July 2022. They made sure that the country was busy with elections, put a Gazette notice mischievously. And the first person they always bash is politicians to get the public sympathy. I think SRC, as a parliament, we must make a decision and ensure that we make part-time. Chair, in quick succession, I want to refer SRC to Gazette notice of 27 July 2022. The President of Kenya earns 1.4 million. The Deputy President earns 1.2, CS 924, AG 924. I just want to bring comparison so that I ask no question. Let me go quickly to the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Senate, 1.1 million each. Of course, the leadership of the House. And then I go to Member of National Assembly and the Senate. We earn 710,000 per month. The Speaker earns 1.1 and we earn 710. So there is some rationale that has been used to give us. Let me invite colleagues and friends. When you look at Gazette Notice number 8794, the County Governor earns 924. The Deputy Governor earns 621,250. Member of the Executive, that is the CEC that is being vetted by MCAs, earns 404,000. Then MCAs, you come and say the MCAs, I've seen the good English SRC is trying to say it is gross and therefore they earn 144. But we know the basic salary is 86,000, Mr. Chairman. So what rationale does the SRC decide that the CC, because SRC, you must be honest to Kenyans. You must be honest to Kenyans. I know you are inciting us against Kenyans, but I want to tell you before the public that one of the role of the SRC is the need to ensure that the public service are able to attract and train skills required to execute their functions. It does not only include public service, but also state officers. Which rationale can you look at the eyes of Kenyans and the MCs and tell them, CECs earn 4,000, but you earn 86,000. Leave about the cross of 144,000. It doesn't. So my question, Governor, Chair, and to the SRC CEO, which reasoning would you give a CC for 4,000 and give less than 100,000 to MCS, number one? Number two, as the chairperson of SRC and your members, you give yourself, and that is why you have not even given Gazette notice of the car grant, you give yourself 10 million. Then you give these MCS 2 million. Do you know the uniqueness of our awards? Do you know the awards that you cannot access with 2 million vehicle? Is it that you are talking about? You give yourself a Toyota of 10 to 15 million, yet you stay in Nairobi where there are good roads. The MCAs are in Mandera, they are in Kajiado, they are in Nandi, a place called Soba Songo. You cannot access except through a tractor. But as the SRC CEO and members, you are giving yourself 10 million car grant, you are giving yourself house allowance. Then when you appear before the public, you are quickly to bash politicians because it's convenient to do so. So even the 2 million that is being given chair for car allowance, for car grant for the MCAs is not sufficient. Unless you want these MCAs to be crippled, not to serve Kenyans, then they are voted out. I don't know what benefit will you get as SRC. Quickly and finally, Chair, I saw the SRC, when we questioned SRC Chair on the issue of MCAs, they decided to set up, and I know it was sponsored by SRC because I have my own intel, to put an advert in newspapers and says the President, the MPs have demanded a pay increase. Yet you are not telling Kenyans, you are just running away from what you were asking about the MCAs. You just wanted to set politicians against the public for convenience. Because as members of National Assembly, including you, Chair, the Speaker, the President, we have never requested for increment of the salary because we know the economy is doing badly. The only question we ask the SRC is to handle on the issue of MCAs. Us as the senators, members of National Assembly, the President, the Deputy President, and has been on record, we have never requested for an increment of salaries. So you decided to hide and run away from the questions of the MCAs by putting another advert and even not telling the public, Chair, that this advert, the process has not been yet completed. But media and newspapers were reporting that as if there is an increment, which is illegal. Finally, Chair, because that is my third question, and the fourth question, Chair, is the SRC should stop. You know, Chair, we need to be fair. When this committee does not sit, you don't earn. So when SRC says, you know, we have given MCAs 144,000, including everything. And you remember when you look at, I want to refer to the chair of SRC and CEOs and members, because we must be truthful. You know, some of us are too truthful. When it comes to salary, house allowance, you have given yourself 150,000. 150,000. But when it comes to MCAs, you just want to put everything in one basket. If an MCA does not sit like this committee, if the chair or members, including my brother, Senator Mohamed Chute, does not sit, and Senator Peristo Pico does not sit on this, they don't earn. So why are you lying to Kenyans by telling them we are giving 144,000 to MCAs, yet you know when they are not available because of other exigencies of duties, because these are people who are in social functions. Maybe they have attended a funeral function, or there's a tragedy, or they are addressing an issue. Why is it that you are saying it's gross? We know that is unfair. And therefore, SRC, you must be called to order. You are not law unto yourself. And I think going into the future, we must make SRC part-time. We cannot tolerate this. This country, and for example, finally, when 2013, and Senator Mbugu was asked about the speakers, there has been increment of the speakers and the speakers of county assemblies and other state officers, but there have been constant decline of earnings of the MCAs. Unless SRC just advise us to scrap the position of MCA if you don't think it is viable for this country, both economically and politically, which is wrong to me. Chair, those are my 4 questions. And unfortunate Chair, if it was me, this statement and response by SRC is only fit for academic discourse, not for the serious issues we are facing. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Secretary, Mheshimiwa Uburu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've met this group, CAF, for the first time. I'm sorry, the other sessions, when you met them, I was not there. But, Mr. Chairman, I think the role of representation is not very clear to the SRC. Because when you have, and they will explain to me whether what they understand by representation. The MPs and the MCAs have 3 roles officially. One is representation, another one is legislation, and the other one is oversight. Now, but there is a 4th one, which is not official, which is not mentioned, and which is called philanthropy. That is, you know, wherever you go as a representative of the people, even if you go to pray, normally the way people go to pray in church, when they see you, they will say, now, the MCA is here, our representative is here, we are going to do a smaller rambi at the end. He is going to make a speech. So representation is very heavy. It gives you that 4th role, which is called philanthropy, which these people suffer. You don't know, you yourself as an officer, you take tea alone with your husband. But these MCAs take tea with more than 10, 15 people in the morning. And each one of them has a problem which they have to resolve. They have to discuss with these people these problems and resolve. So their responsibility is not just sitting allowance. That small money you give them in sitting allowance. They have very, very heavy responsibility in representing their people, hearing their problems on a daily basis. So don't think they just work when they sit in the committee or when they come to the assemblies. They work all the times whenever they go back to their constituencies. And their responsibility is very, very heavy. So, Madam, when you are, you must understand these roles of representation and of representation, particularly that role. You will explain whether you really understand where the limit, is, because it is a very, very heavy responsibility. Madam, I almost cried when I saw the pay slip of the MCA from Nakuru, because that is what we suffer. That is what we suffer. But then we are going to suffer silently. We are not going to express it here. We are talking about our MCAs who are the front line officers. And when you also talk of oversight, Madam also understand oversight. When you are oversighting somebody who is earning 10 times more than you, really, how do you want him to oversight that person? That person will compromise him because he's suffering pecuniary embarrassment. This person is suffering pecuniary embarrassment, and you want him to oversight the governor, whom you are giving so much. And it is not only so much in terms of salary or remuneration. You are also giving him so much money which he is presiding over. These MCAs don't have any fund They don't have any MCA, fund which they are presiding over. So, really, how do they oversight, Madam? You are actually killing devolution. You are, but by giving these people peanuts, you are not oversighting the governors, and the governors don't even have pension. So when they have so much money there, and you are also underpaying the MCAs, this person is not oversighted, so the public does not benefit. So if you want the devolution to function, there must be some kind of concurrence. You have to balance so that revolution can function. I don't want to ask you questions. I have, within those statements, I think I have given you something which you should try to deal with. Because specifically, what you are telling us is theory. You are telling us that you have increased, but here you have actually decreased. And I've never had it internationally where remunerations are reduced for officers. It is actually either you retain it where it is or you increase it. But I've never had a situation where you are reducing and then you are putting justifications in a paper which you want us to understand that you have increased or you have maintained. You know it yourself that you have reduced the benefits of this of the MCAs, and we are at a risk of losing the services to our people. Thank you, Mr.
Point of order.
Okay,
Chair.
I think I'll request the members also to observe time.
Point of order, Chair.
Rest. Oh, sorry, I mean, you're next.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Senna, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I have to stand because this microphone was not made for young people. Thank you so much, Chair. And first of all, I want to state categorically, without fear of contradiction, that I stand with the MCAs. It's very embarrassing that the people who are mandated to oversight, this is the MCA, the County Assembly is the Senate at Mashinani. These are the people mandated to oversight whatever is happening at the county. These are the people who are assisting us to protect devolution at the grassroots. And I have just had the SRC laying blame on the KRA. But I thought your functions are very distinct because the KRA collects the taxpayers' money. Your work and mandate, as set in Article 230, is to set and regularly review the remuneration and benefits of all state officers and advise the national and the county governments on the remuneration and benefits for all. Your work is to advise and set. To set means you agree upon and just advise. So, and regularly review. Now, we are talking about remuneration here for MCAs. It's very embarrassing to witness and see that the MCAs are earning peanuts when their mandate and duties are so much. I note that majority of the MCAs are young people. These are people who are very energetic. These are people who are at the grassroots. These are the people in charge of protecting the taxpayers. The work of the taxpayers is to pay tax. And this tax goes to KRA. And your work is to set and decide where the tax goes as far as salaries and remunerations is concerned. Now, when you've heard of a lot of corruption happening in counties, how do you expect the MCAs who are earning peanuts to oversight somebody who is earning a lot? Even a mayor CEC is earning more than an MCA. Is that even fair? I mean, we are only calling upon you to be logical because I think our committee is very clear that we stand with the MCAs. So what we need is action. What are you going to do? How much are you setting I mean, it's very simple. You just tell us how much you, can you grant the request that MCAs want? Can you give them the salaries they want? If not, why not? That is what we should have been told right here. Thank you. I don't have to beat about the bush.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, no, I have not understood how SRC operates. What we know globally, the world over, ILO, according to the ILO laws, you cannot review someone's salary and remunerations downwards. So I don't know in what laws SRC uses to operate. Chair, you know, the way it's coming out, that seemingly SRC only is pegging their payments on the legislative role only. How many committee sittings, I don't know what. Then you have left out the very important role of oversight. So much money is going to the counties. So much taxpayers' money is going to the counties to support devolved services. But if the counties are not oversighted, the executives, I mean the governor and his team, then so much money will be lost. By trying to make the MCAs immobile, cannot operate, cannot feed their families, cannot function, cannot oversight, then simply what you have decided is that the resources that Kenyans have poured into the counties will go unchecked. And so we lose. So the end game is that we as Kenyans have lost because these people are not being oversighted. So MCAs are actually at the tail end of protecting public resources, and you are disabling them. You know, I used to wonder, and I used to think the problem of SRC in the very beginning was Sarah Serem, the former chair. And you know, I kept praying that Sarah Serem will one day go for an elective seat. And she went. Yes. You know, unfortunately, she wasn't elected. But I wanted her to get elected. So that she can now come and wear the shoes that elected people are wearing. Yes. And feel the pinch of what we go through every day. Correct. That today, there is a body in the morgue that needs to be released for burial, the MCAs will be called upon. A member of parliament will be called upon. Besides the oversight of the counties and beside the legislative role. There is that other social aspect. And you know, I wondered and I thought, this is it Menkich? Is she a sister of Sarah Serem? Or she seems to be doing the same thing that Sarah Serem was doing. And last chair, I wanted the KRA people who are here to tell us how they tax again an amount that was supposed to be a reimbursement. According to Section 5(2)(a) of the Income Tax Act, reimbursement to the recipient of an amount expended wholly is not taxable. However, the members of the county assemblies have indicated that the Kenya Revenue is levying taxes on members' car reimbursements. So how do you apply this law? You know, like you have some selective amnesia, you decide what in your act to faithfully adhere to and what not to adhere to. Can we have our acts together? Can you do the right thing, even you as Gary? Tax what you must and leave what you should not. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me first of all say thank you for SRC for your presentation. And I don't have any problem with what you presented. That is the facts. What you've done is what you've written. And there is nothing wrong with this. And I also know, SRC, you are facing a lot of problems from politicians. I've been in business for many years. I just joined politics recently. When I was in business, I was condemning MPs or politicians that they're earning a lot of money. But after joining politics, I was shocked to see by 4th of the next month, I don't have any money in my account. I'm telling you. And then I'm asking myself, why am I even being, why I don't want to be a politician. This will be my last time, first and last, because of a very simple reason. Every time, every day, every minute, there is a call from Marsabit. I come from Marsabit County, which is the largest county in this republic. And problems, banditry, hospitals, and many other things. But I understand also you are facing a lot of problems because you are a referee between the employer and the employee. But I want to tell you one point. There is an MCA from Marsabit, a place called Ileret. His name is James Corrier. He comes from Ileret. He's doing one way, 344 kilometers. And I want you to understand these things and look at it as humanly as possible. This Corrier, the road to Ileret, I wish one day you don't sit in the office and judge somebody who comes from Ileret. You need to visit Ileret to see for yourselves what this man goes through. Those 344 one way, there is also another problem because where he passes through a community, they are having disagreement. So he has to take a longer route, which takes him through Loyangalani and then Ilret, which is also not a good road. The car is using is a Land Cruiser. What you are recommending is 2,000 cc. The car he's using, he cannot use 2,000 cc because of the road, the situation of that road. He's using a Land Cruiser, which is 4.5 liter. And whatever money you've given, he has to add another 2 million shillings. One way, going and coming back, he can use not less than 50,000 on his fuel. And I want you to understand what is, I don't want to mention what my fellow senators have mentioned about MCAs, paying some money for burials and all those things. If you look at this man, when he goes to Ilret and comes back, he has spent over not less than 67 million shillings. Again, on top of this, because of rivalry between the communities, there is a problem. Somebody is either in the hospital or dead because of those issues. And then he is always there. He has to pay for somebody who has been taken to the hospital. He has to pay for the bills. He has to pay for burial bills and all those things. So when you give a MCA like a Korea, even a salary of 70-something thousand shillings, I'm telling you, only on fuel, one way, he has finished that money. So I understand your situation, and I don't want to condemn you because I think most of you've not had the chance to travel or go to Marsabit. And if you have officers who want to go there, I'm going to provide security and also my car. We can go together and you see it for yourselves. So as you are looking at the salaries...
Look for the question.
No, I don't have any question. I'm just telling them the situation. I have no questions. Because what is happening is you've said what you are giving. What I'm trying to say is please consider. I'm requesting, consider, while you're going to consider what the MCA from Nakuru was saying, he was requesting for 49% of salary equivalent to the governor, which comes to 452,760. Looking at the governor's salary of 924. I would suggest at least you come to even around 35% of that amount going forward. And looking at places like, don't look at MCAs on equal terms. When you talk about Marsabit, please think about Marsabit in a different way. I don't want to talk about Wajir because the senator for Wajir is here. I cannot fight for him. But I'm looking at Marsabit, which is the biggest county in this republic. Please help us, help the MCS by at least give them a 35%. And recently you've increased the price of the salary for the president. And he told you, no, I don't need that money. You know the reason? Because you are giving it to the wrong person. He doesn't need those money. He didn't ask for it. We also didn't ask for that money. Tafadhali sana, please. You have children also. You have friends, you have brothers, sisters, and all those people. Help these people by adding, if possible, mileage at 77 is too small. Let it be even at 300, because you cannot, you see, fuel, I've told you, going to Irret and back is 50,000 shillings. So if this man goes even once a month, he has paid his own salary, he's gone. So please, we understand your situation, and we understand the situation that this country is in. We understand. But please, go to those places, visit places, and then make some decisions. Asante sana for coming. Thank you very much.
But I think, well said, you have also said your issues. One thing I want to tell the chair of SRC is that actually, as they say rightly, the MCAs are in pecuniary embarrassment.
Chair, I forgot something, please. I'm very sorry. I just wanted to know, on Article 230, 2B, there is a representative from the county government. I want to know if that person is there. If that person is there, then he's a person to blame also, because he's not fighting for the county governments.
So I think, Chair, these are the people who are oversighting 305 billion shillings. And as you see, once you go, if you go to the committee of CPAC and PAC and PIC, the Public Investment Committee of the Senate, you will get shocked the amount of money that is being lost through seepage. Simply because there's no oversighting. These people are frustrated. The MCAs are frustrated a lot. Because you cannot oversight somebody who gets billion shillings, somebody who gets 400 and you get 86 shillings. It can happen. You cannot be oversighting 385 billion, and then you pay for 86 shillings, thousand. It doesn't make sense, madam, honestly. Some of these people are elected by 500,000 people. Actually, they are elected even more than some of the governors. The MCs are not ordinary people that are not elected by 10 people or oversighted by handpicked. No, they are people who have been elected. They represent others have been elected over half a million people. And they need to represent them. So I think one other thing, we were shocked to learn that some of the committee clerks are getting more salary than the chairman of the committee. It doesn't make sense. Honestly, you can't embarrass. These guys are really embarrassed. They cannot represent anybody. They are at the mercy of the governor. They are at the mercy of the CECs. They are at the mercy of all clerks. So I think you guys, you need to be very considerate. So again, when KRA is saying, when you are saying that the MCA will maximum shall use a vehicle of a capacity of 1,800 cc. These guys are all in Nairobi or in Kiambu. You are hearing what is happening. The Senator is saying. Equally, Wajir is the same. Some of these roads are not even motorable. They cannot be used. They're in bad shape. So limiting them to 1,800 cc is actually even wrong. It can happen. So I think with all due respect, want you to review these things. We request you to respond to the questions. But however, this committee is not satisfied. Whatever you're given us is just, something for lectures allowed for only somebody who doesn't understand the situation. You guys have not. I don't think you have ever visited anywhere in this country to base your arguments. Because if you go to Mandera and Wajir and those places, you cannot be telling somebody to go and get a car of 1,860. It can't happen. So I think I will allow the chair to respond. And I think you have a mind, please. Go back to the drawing board.
Point of order, Chair. Maybe before she responds, something I would like to add so that she also responds together with it. Okay, thank you, Chair. Mine, as she also responds, we managed to have a session with part of the team at SRC, and the indication that they gave us was that the 184 that we get as members of County Assembly is based on a job description that they use. We'd also like the committee they indicated that they use a system that they feed the job description, then it generates what you are supposed to get. So we want to understand how you put representation, legislation, oversight. For MPs, it generates 710 plus. Then the same information is fed into that system and generates 144 for members of County Assembly. The other thing, we have offices at the ward level, and it has 3 staffs. And at the end of every month, we are normally given an office impress of 118,000 that is supposed to pay those 3 staffs. Also, them are suffering the same fate because the highest paid person gets around 24,000. The second person gets around 17, and another one 12,000, which is also taxable. Then that 116, 18 is also where you are supposed to get rent that you are supposed to use to pay for that office and also office maintenance. So maybe we can also be guided on how that happens. And I'll give a good case in point. An MCA in Kileleshwa gets an office, that 118 per month translates to 27. So an MCA in Kileleshwa is supposed to get an office that is supposed to, as I finish, I'll give a good case in point with myself as an example.
Okay, please.
On Monday,
why not?
On Monday, there is a place in my ward. Somebody passed on, and since independence, there has never been a road. Something you cannot blame on the MCA because we don't have any kitty. So those people came to my home at 6 a.m. They wanted a road immediately to make sure that today is when they're having the burial, to make sure that they're able to transport their late person. So I went to the county. I was told there is no money. So I had to give 50,000 to fuel the grader so that they can bury their person. So those are some of the things we go through. And we'll invite, and we also pray.
We understand your predicament. We understand your situation.
Yeah, so
and every Kenyan knows that.
Yeah, so
I don't know what will happen to SRC.
And I also pray that the chairperson will also vie and become a politician one day. The same prayer.
Okay, I think with all much has been said, I will request the chair to respond to the questions, and maybe we'll give to Kerry. Sorry for keeping you long.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First, there is a member of the commission arrived after. Maybe he can introduce himself.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Senator Isaac Meli, member of SRC Commission and the nominee for Parliamentary Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Chair, I will take a number of questions. The Vice Chair will also answer a few questions. But let me start with some that are really straightforward. You have also asked whether there is a representation of the county. Margaret Sawe.
Sorry?
Commissioner Margaret Sawe.
Okay.
Yes, so the second, the broad issues, the first...
Maybe what I want to ask is, does Margaret represent the executive or they represent the MCAs?
It's representative of the Senate because the Senate represents the counties.
The Senate.
So the way it is, and I remember read article at the beginning, the way it is put in the Constitution, it says a representative of the Senate because the Senate, on behalf of the, actually, let me read it. Number? It is the Senate on behalf of the county governments.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the number? Number 7.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I think that's we need to look for that lady. Yes. Yes, Chair.
Okay, so
may I just add? Sorry to cut you, Chair. Is that
I can't hear you.
I just wanted to add before the point is lost that Commissioner Sawe served as a CEC member before. So it's clear, it should be noted that, and you should also see the movement of CEC's salaries from 2013, 2017, and 2022. Thank you.
I would like to start by answering the question on what basis or what do we consider in reviewing pay, because that has come out by a number of members. What did we consider? What parameters do we use? And Chair, I would like to go back to page 1 of our submission, but I will explain because it's actually in page 1. If you go to page 1 of our submission, we have listed 5 principles, 4 of which are stated in the Constitution, and the 5th one is in the SRC Act. So just to explain these principles so that we all understand what it means, the first one says the need to ensure that the total public compensation bill is fiscally sustainable. To help us to arrive at that, we've got 2 targets that we use. One is in the Public Finance Management Act, which stipulates that not more than 35% of revenue will be used in the wage bill. We also use another measure of 7.5% of GDP, which is an average for developing countries. In both...
Sorry, Chair, can you repeat, please?
The first one is the PFM Act, which stipulates not more than 35% of revenue will be used in wage bill. The second one is an average of developing countries, which is 7.5% of GDP. So that is how that's how we define the first one, which is ensuring
so that I don't lose on the 35%. Just point of order. Because you know, Chair, you need to be fair to members and public. I know maybe you are making those comments for expediency. You should be telling us, county assemblies, I've sat in public accounts. I'm the Vice Chair of Public Accounts. When we audit, and even the Auditor General will tell you, we audit as per unit. We audit county assemblies based on the wage bill, county executive based on the wage bill, national government. So you should differentiate to Kenyans when you say it is beyond 35%, and I agree with you that the PMF Act provides that the threshold is 35%. When you say we are at 45, is it national government? Is it the Senate? Is it Parliament? And finally, Chair, the SRC Chair should be fair. When you talk about 35%, it applies to county executive because they have development fund. County assemblies, their business does not include development. Because even, Chair, when you look at the CARA that we passed, we increased the ceilings of county assemblies in their location. So where will the money go if it does not go to salaries and emoluments? So, Chair, can you be specific, say the national government in terms of wage bill, the county executives is the wage bill, so that we don't get an impression that all county assemblies are at 45% in terms of the wage bill. Just be precise and to the point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The 46% is overall, which includes both national and county government. Chair, we shall share with you the specifics for each county, but I can say that most counties are above 35%, some as high as 65%. But we will share and retain the skills in the public service. The data for the last 2 years, able to retain 90%. The year before, it was 95%. And out of the 10% that leave the public service, they actually move from one public service to another public service. So it is not attrition out of the public service. So on that score, we have data that shows that we are able to attract and retain the public, the skills. And then, as I mentioned, we also carry out salary market surveys to see where we are, and that forms the basis of how we review salaries. The third point talks about the need to recognize productivity and performance. And just this year, the